I have queens. Heads up, I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to defend this hand. I flop open-ended straight draw with the, second pair, basically, below a king. I'm going to keep checking. I'm going to call a bet. I have a blocker to each flush draw. There's 2 flush draws on the board. There's a lower straight. If I hit an ace, a queen, or a 9, I'm going to be pretty happy. And if, like, a king were to come off, I'd feel pretty confident. Now I have a 4. Like, I'm kind of contemplating value betting my queens, but I think that's probably a little bit too optimistic. Anyway, the video introduction I will do now. Welcome to ZenMadman's day 29 of Pot Limit Omaha Journification. The deuce. I'm thinking I'm playing like 80%. This might be bottom 20%. I do have a suit, but it's 5 high. And this is bottom 50%, so I will fold it. Yeah, it's been a great 4 weeks, I started with a few followers on Twitch, and I tried to get to 50. I got to 50, and now I have 72. On that subject, thank you to Redneck Tigger for the 72nd follow. 72 is a nice mathematical number with many factors. Also, thank you to TJ Stafford for being my 71st follow. I think I thanked you on the podcast episode, but these are the ones, I guess that's preserved for eternity too as a podcast, but these ones go up on YouTube. ZenMadman Poker at YouTube. Give a subscription. It's free. I check here. You can subscribe on Prime now too because I got over 50 followers. So let's talk about the poker. I have a fairly poor hand. I do have a gut shot, not to the nuts. I do have a backdoor flush draw, not to the nuts. I have middle pair, and I think this is a hand I can just fold out of position, heads up. In position, I might be inclined to peel with a hand like this, and we're getting a lot of garbage, and we're just kind of folding it. But yeah, it's been a really fun month, Yeah, I mean, you can subscribe on Twitch now. You can pay to subscribe. You don't really get anything yet for subscribing. I'm open to thoughts about what I can provide people with as subscribers, and also channel points. If you're a follower, you will be accruing channel points, or maybe even if you're not. I'm not sure. But if you're not a follower and you're watching, go ahead, give a follow on Twitch. There's a lot of free ways of supporting the stream. If you have Prime, Amazon Prime, once per month, you can pick a channel to bless with your, some of your Bezos bucks. I raise here. This is a very strong hand. I'm only deciding whether I'd want to 3-bet or 4-bet it. I think that's an important point. Like, as soon as I think with the deuce, maybe I fold this. Those top 3 cards are very nice, though. Maybe I can play this as a 3-card hand. I will mark it. But as soon as, I get queen, jack, double suited, my first thought is, okay, if the button opens, my first thought is, obviously this is a good hand. I'm going to open in the small blind. Second one is, what if the button opens? Yes, I'm going to 3-bet them right away. I will mark it. For review, the Ethical Panda chimes in. Oh, sorry, I need to get in the habit of reading the chat so that y'all on YouTube in the future can hear, so know what's going on in the chat. The Ethical Panda writes in, Queen Jack, double suited. Looks like a great start. Oh, indeed. For review, what kind of flop does Queen Jack want on the flop? There's a lot of good flops for that hand, but I will, I'll just click review because it's not like a pre-flop spot in that regard. Again, the deuce. We play some hands with the deuce, but the other cards have to be really strong. So, yeah, basically, I'll get to that hand during the review. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out what sorts of things to offer with channel points. I want to do a lot more kicking and punching, so Stranded Panda has a thing where you can make them drink water. And you know what? It's a good habit to drink water. So having people remind you to drink water, that's good. That's cool. I probably won't make that one of my things, but maybe. But mostly I like to, I like to do a lot of kicking and punching, and I haven't done a lot of it lately. So maybe I'll have that be one of the things. Like, you can make me do a bunch of kicks. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the type of rewards I want. I think for some number, I'm trying to calibrate it. I'll probably have like a hand review where you can send in a hand, and you redeem like 10,000 channel points or something, and you send in a hand, and I will review it. I'm sure that'll be super helpful for the Ethical Panda, who I would never review a hand without them redeeming channel points. 7-7-10-4 with a suit, pretty close. I think the 4 is the deal breaker here, but I'm going to mark this, and this might be a little too tight. I think I need the 4 to be like a 5. A 6 I would certainly raise, and if the 10 were like an 8, a 5, or a 6, something that also played with the 4, basically if the 10 and the 4 connect, if you smush them a little, I'm definitely going to play this hand. Or if you make the 10 like a king, and we have a suited king, or yeah, I think. So, yeah, but so, I think that'll be fun doing some, but anyway, yeah, I was mentioning the Ethical Panda, who streams at the moment, generally Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday night, if they can get their computer to function properly. But yeah, it's so check out their stream, give a follow if you haven't. This is a great hand for defense. I'm only really thinking about 3-betting or whatever. They play poker, lower stakes, about 10% of this stakes, and are learning the game, not in terms of the rules, but in terms of strategy, as am I, but a little earlier in the development, and I'm doing coaching. Okay, let's focus on this hand, though. I flop the nuts, great. The only question is, how do we get the most money in the pot? I think I want to flat, and then I want to pop some good turn cards. It's easy to get, like, scared, right? Like, oh no, like, but what, I won't have the nuts. Like, I don't have the nuts now. They're going to have a lot of overpairs in their range, though. I have a 7, which is nice because I'm blocking hands like 7-7, which I think is the most likely boat that they can have. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to full pot it here, which might seem strong with a straight. I want them to fold a flush draw, though, right? So I want them to have a big overpair with a flush draw. Not necessarily a big overpair, but I either want them to have a big overpair and be like, oh, do I want to get pushed off of this? I'm going to have a lot of 3x in my range as the big blind defending against small blind. And by a lot of 3x, I mean relative to them, right? Their opening range is probably 30 to 40%, somewhere in there. I don't know exactly, but yeah. I am going to defend a much wider percent. I don't know exactly what percent, but my guess would be upwards of 50%. And then my range is going to be decapitated, right? The hands at the top of it are not going to be there because I'm going to fold them. I'm going to fold those. That is not why they're not going to be there. They're not going to be there because I'm going to 3-bet them. I'm not going to fold the top of my range. That would be ridiculous. I was thinking about this message in chat from the Ethical Panda. Can we get Broadway-style high kicks? Or is this martial arts, taekwondo only? Yeah, martial arts kicks, thank you. I might make them, I might give a few choices, like front kick, side kick, turning kick, axe kick, hook kick, or maybe I'll just do whatever I feel like. Axe kicks are kind of like Broadway-style high kicks, like if you think about it. Actually, my old taekwondo school, we had a pair of Rockettes. Very flexible, very good at kicking high. Also very skinny and wispy, and we had like dancer's bars alongside, half the walls, I guess, the window sides, and they would spend a lot of time there and just, legs just go straight up, kicks straight up, which was fun, but they didn't stick around that long. They were twins, actually. It was twin Rockettes, which I feel like somebody's imagination can run with that. Pretty good hand. Ace, ace, king, queen, double suited. What sorts of flops are we looking for here? I don't know. One's with an ace, one's with jack 10, one's with hearts, one's with diamonds. King, queen, high, or just some, little raggedy cards with a heart and a diamond. Very, very robust equity, this hand. We just don't want mostly spades and clubs, or, you know, we don't get any flop. Sad. That's one of the very few hands that probably does better by getting called than by raising. By and large, our raising range actually wants everybody to fold in general, in terms of like what our results are with a hand. Usually the results of everybody folding is going to be greater than the EV of the hand if they call. That might be less true if they play super suspect post-flop, right? But if they play at all reasonably, then that's going to be the case, right? We want people to fold, like with a lot of our good hands. We have users experiencing technical difficulties, but that's okay. Hopefully we'll get all of these technology situations sorted out. At least my computer hasn't crashed yet. Oh, it did the other day, though. Yeah, I had a blackout. I was in the middle of doing something. What was I doing? I was just like, oh, I'm glad I'm not streaming or playing poker. I have had blackouts while playing poker. In fact, when I was in Costa Rica, we would have like semi-regular blackouts. Not long, and that was what this one lasted like an hour or two or something. I don't know. I went to sleep and I woke up and it was over. But yeah, in Costa Rica, it's kind of like a brownout, kind of just like, oh, the power goes out. Oh, it's back on. And you know, I wasn't in the real urban area. I was kind of in the suburby. Oh, this might be an open if it folds to me. It's not very good. You know, the 7 and the 8 connect. The 3 doesn't really connect to the 8-7 in any consequential way, but it connects to the ace. I do have an ace, which is a spade. Okay, somebody calls, though, and this really would have been mostly for fold equity that I'd be playing it. Pretty good flop for the hand. But, yeah, and so I actually moved to Costa Rica in 2012 for a little while. Through a company called Poker Refugees. After Black Friday, after it was harder to play online poker in the United States, I went and played there, and they recommended getting like a backup power source, which I'm actually gonna do here. I really should, because we get a lot of blackouts in this part of California. Fire season especially. Oh, fire season's coming. Happy summer, I guess, right? I think last night was the summer solstice, so it is now the summer, officially. And, yeah, my least favorite season, but it's hot. It's like, historically it hasn't been hot enough in this area for people to build with air conditioning, for the most part. But it gets up into the hundreds now, because, you know, climate chaos is real. And then there's a giant forest fire every year, and there's smoke. And in fact, you know, when people started like wearing masks because of coronavirus, like I already had masks because you know, you needed them to go outside during fire season. It was that bad. So it was like, you know, I already had N95 masks also for the smoke at the casino. No smoking in the poker room, but smoking right outside the poker room. This is a gorgeous hand. You know, black and blue. Hopefully we'll make our opponents black and blue. Yeah, that sounds a little violent, but you know, I mean, within the context of the poker game, I'm comfortable with it. You know, obviously we like a king, a 3, a flush draw, a nut flush draw, even like an ace high board with a couple of diamonds or spades, a couple backdoors and an overpair, or some kind of straight thing that we're blocking. So here we do flop the nut flush draw. Not much else. I mean, I have kings and I have 3s. I'm probably behind. This is a board that should smash my range, though. I should have all the ace-ace. My opponents shouldn't have any of the ace-ace. I'm getting 3-1 with a nut flush draw. Very straightforward call. Yes, I'm not closing the action. The other player could raise. But 3 ways the nut flush draw does pretty well. Anyway, we have a couple more comments. A765 when you flopped the straight, but then the board paired on the turn. What do you do if opponent raises your turn bet? Oh, fold. Oh, fold right away. Now, if my opponent here, let's see. I should have probably marked that hand. If my opponent were like a significantly weaker opponent, I would definitely turn this into a bluff. It is an excellent bluffing candidate. I'm not blocking 10-9. I am blocking king 10, right? So I'm blocking the nuts. If I had 10-10, I'd be a little more inclined. I'm going to check it back because I don't believe this is the sort of opponent that's just check folding the turn and or check calling turn, check folding river. They have played literally 100% of their hands. And so for that reason, I'd say exploitatively, I am playing this way. If this were kind of like a, I don't know, what we used to call like a tag fish or whatever. If they were I'm going to mark that other hand, a player who like understood the game, right, knew what was going on, but maybe didn't have a lot of the subtleties and whatnot, and didn't understand what the good bluffing spots were going to be, then, all right, that's marked for review. Then I would definitely look at that hand and say, I can drive this person off whatever they have. They can flop a set, and because it's very reasonable for me to have like king, queen, jack 10 or something, and I have the wrap, and then boom, on the turn, yeah, I make the nuts, right? So I bet the turn, and then I jam the river. And they're going to fold like a set of queens almost all the time. They might even fold 10-9, right, if I go pot, or if they have enough money left to put that much pressure. This player, however, I did not think that was, this isn't the sort of player I do that against. And in other spots, I will put pressure on them, right? But it just felt like if they let out on that board, they've got some two-pair set kind of thing. And I hadn't really seen anything else from them. You know, maybe I could have been paying more attention. But, all right, here. So on the flop, I didn't discuss the decision, but I had a blocker. I had bottom pair. I think checking back is quite reasonable. A blocker to the spade draw anyway. Now, on the turn, I make top trips. So unless they flop top two pair, and this is a spot where I'm going to go for some thin value. I'm just going to bet like, no, I'm going to bet half pot. I think they'll call half pot as much as they'll call $2. If I get raised, I'm just going to fold. I like the queen for two reasons. First of all, I have a 3, and the queen is the best kicker I can have. That's not a boat. And so if they have a 3 and I have a 3, I win. Second of all, the queen blocks the straight, and the straight's kind of the thing that I'm most concerned that they could have that beats me that they might play this way, right? All right, I think I fold this here. Having the suited ace is nice. Ace-jack is nice. 3-3 is nice. But it just doesn't add up enough to play it out of position against a, potentially competent cutoff player. Yeah, we've had some interesting hands here, though. I'm going to take a look at what they had in that hand where I had I had queen 3, the board was ace 3, king 3, 10, and they had ace jack 6, 6. So they called me down with top pair, good kicker, but like one pair, right, aces up. And they bet that on the turn, which is interesting that they would decide to bet that hand after the board paired. I mean, they bet the flop and I just fold. But, so yeah, they waited till their hand was no good, and then they tried to get value. And, they value owned themselves, and that's fine. But I'm happy with my thin river bet, where there's a straight potential, and it's a paired board, and I just have trips. Wasn't really that thin, I don't think. But a good reminder of the concept. If we're not sure whether we want to get value, like look for blockers, right? If you're not sure whether you want to bluff in a spot, look for blockers. Always blockers, blockers, blockers. We have 4 cards. Let's think about each one of them and what they mean, right? The thing is, like, if we have 4 cards and none of our cards block the cards we want our opponent to not have, right? Say there's cards that they can have, and we can't block any of that. Not only are we not doing anything positive, we have 4 cards that we would like them to have our 4 cards because our cards are terrible and we're bluffing with them. But we have them, so they can't have them. So that means it's out of fewer cards, right? When there's 5 cards on the river, 4 cards in your hand, there's only 43 cards left in the deck. Whereas in Hold'em, there's 45 cards left in the deck. So that's like another reason that I think we can forget. Like, people are more likely to turn up with good hands in Omaha, not just because they get more cards, but we remove more of the bad cards from the deck when we have a total airball. And so a lot of the times, like a total airball, as in no blockers as well as no hand, it's just like we just shouldn't bluff with that unless it's an opponent where like this person's 100% folding because we have a stone cold read, and that's fine, when you've got a stone cold read, you can play exploitative. But barring that, you know, look at all the cards. Look at all the cards in your hand. So many cards in the hands. That's one of the things. I mean, I like having more cards. It's like more to look at. There's more points of interest, right? Let's see. We have another chat thing from the Ethical Panda. Is there a danger of overvaluing blockers? Hell yeah. Yeah, there is. Let's read the rest of it. Ace on board, you have an ace in hand. It's still possible for opponent to have ace-ace. That is correct. I have one of the flush set, the flush in hand, or set, or whatever. Still a lot of that set out there. How do you find that balance? Yeah, I mean, I think you use the blockers when it's close, and you understand. I mean, for me, all right, I think with the offsuit ace, this is not playable. For me, everything, like my worldview is about probability distributions, and this kind of comes from poker, but it comes out of poker. But just I view everything I know about the world and everything I see and everything I think about the way things are or can be as like distributions of probabilities. So any given piece of knowledge, I feel like I have either a high level of certainty, a low level of certainty, a virtually absolute certainty, but like recognize, like, you know, there's always things we don't know. And so, you know, open to new information, right? And so as such, when we're partially blocking, like if we have 4 kings in our hand and the board is ace jack 10, I know my opponent doesn't have king queen, right? That is absolute knowledge. That is, I have all the kings, or I have the ace high, the ace of the suit. I know for certain my opponent doesn't have the nuts. I need to check if there's a straight flush on board, because sometimes our ace-high flush runs into a straight flush, and sometimes we don't see it till it's too late. Although sometimes it doesn't change the way we'd play the hand anyway. We would just get it in. I do have one where I folded an ace-high flush that was second nuts to a straight flush. I'll maybe make a video of that sometime. That was a pretty fun hand. But yeah, I think. Oh, I've got to remind myself to double check all the hands that I've marked to see what people had, because those will be expiring soon. Okay, queens with a jack and a 10. I have a suit, queen high suit. I'm deciding between 3-bet and call here. I don't think there's a lot of calls here. I mean, maybe this is a fold, but I don't think so. Double suited, I'm 3-betting. I'm gonna flat, and I don't love it. It's possible this is the worst option. I'm not sure. I don't know the big blind yet, but I say, hey, come on, you play two. You play two. I think my hand plays pretty well multi-way. If this player was, they were the hijack, right? The other player was dealt in. If this player was the cutoff or the button, I'm 3-betting this hand. Okay, they bet half pot. I'm out of position. Overpair, backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. I'm not closing the action. Let me think about turn cards that I want. A queen. Like a king of diamonds, a 9 of diamonds. These are excellent turn cards. Not a whole lot else. And I'm not closing the action. I'm actually just going to fold like a nit. Like, I imagine the balanced play is to call or raise here. I'm going to mark this for flop and pre-flop. But I don't think, like, I think my queens can be good. But when my queens are good, I don't think I have. Okay, so I would have smashed the turn river. But I think even though my queens are sometimes good, when they are good, I don't think I have very good equity. Like, I'm not way ahead. And when they're not good, I'm not doing that well. Would have been an interesting hand if I played it more aggressively. Like, would I have c-bet this flop because I'm blocking top pair, top set, top 2? Would I have gotten it in or checked whatever? Okay, so I was up against bottom 2 pair. They turned a boat. If I call the flop, maybe they lead the turn. I don't know. I would have done them real dirty if we got to the river there. But yeah, with the question to like blockers, what's going on? Give us a hand, Ignition. All right, I'm still streaming, right? That seems fine. Yeah, okay. I guess Ignition is just stalling for time. Was it the dealer change? The okay, during the between the downs? I don't know. That was odd. I think rainbow I fold this. Not certain though. It's potential this is playable. I'm not sure. I mean the fives, you know, we have a pair, the 4 connects, the ace connects. I'll mark that one. Mark that one for pre-flop review. So, yeah, like, when we have a blocker that's not, oh, my opponent literally can't have the nuts because it's like a flush, basically, right? Or we're blocking quads. When we have that blocker, we have to know, okay, they don't have the nuts, but that doesn't mean they can't have the second nuts, or they can't have something they want to call us down with, right? So I think that's important to recognize. And then the second one, and so like we shouldn't be too certain of our reads, right? Oh, this player will definitely do this. They'll definitely do that. No, we should think this player will probably do this because of things that we know about them. But we always have to refine our reads that way. But when we have, you know, if we have 2 kings and king 10 makes a straight, like, yeah, they can have king 10. They just have it half as often, right? So that's the key. The key is just to understand how it affects the probabilities, but we don't have a certainty. And so mostly what I will do is when I have blockers and I think the situation, because of how the other person's playing, whatever, is like, this is a situation where I might want to bluff. I mean, theoretically, we should always have some bluffs in our range, right? But against certain players, like against that player, it's like, this is not a good spot to be bluffing. This is not a good player to be bluffing, right? It's not a good situation against a player like this. Although now they've folded, like, every hand for a while. Like, I don't know. Did their food just arrive and they're distracted, or were they like playing us at the beginning of the session? Were they just like, yeah, I'm just gonna limp the first 10 hands, and then people are gonna think I'm like this massive whale, and then I'm gonna play like GTO. Actually, at that point, they should probably play super exploitative and understand that nobody's gonna have any idea what they're doing. That would be a weird strategy. But yeah, I think the idea of overvaluing blockers it's a thing. It's a real thing. And, you know, just anything like that, you always want to be careful and aware. And don't let your blockers make you feel like you have to bluff. If you have an awareness about the situation that says to you, like, this maybe, you know, today is not the day. But if you feel like you're against players who know where the fold button is, then let the blockers take you in this, you know, don't bluff without blockers unless you just know your opponent's cold, that they're like folding machines. But like, yeah, generally make sure you at least have blockers, and then decide whether or not your opponent knows where the fold button is, because not everybody does, right? There are players where it's like, yeah, it's, you know, I tried a you know, naked ace bluff where I'm representing the nut flush on this one player, and I was like betting the river, and I was like, there's just no way this is gonna work. This was a long time ago in live poker, and I was like, you know, pot, and then I'm like, and they snap called so fast, and I was like, why did I do this against this player? Like, I had the blocker, and I was like, well, I have the blocker, they don't have the nuts, and they called down with like a set on a flush board. I'm like, what am I doing? You know. Whereas then another player, they folded to the same play, and I was just like, yeah, that player, you know, they have a fold button. They know where it is. I fold. Yeah, middle pair, you know, backdoor flush draw. Not really any way that out of position we can come up with something that we really want to play. Actually, that's not what happened in that story. The other person who generally didn't, who would have been capable of folding to something like that, they saw me, they saw me make that play, and I actually had the nuts against them, and I value bet, you know, pot, basically, and they called down because I had just played that other hand and shown it, and as a result, they called down with a king high flush, and I totally missed a classic slow roll opportunity where I had 3 of the suit, and I could have shown like the small flush, and then they would have shown the king high flush, and then I would have shown the ace. And like, I don't like to slow roll people, but this is the person who actually really enjoys slow rolling. Not just like in a mean-spirited way, but they just think it's funny. And they're like, no, slow roll me if you can. And I'm like, oh, this was like the perfect spot. It would have been the perfect time to actually slow roll someone who enjoys getting slow rolled. And I was sad. I was like, oh, that's a legitimately a legitimately squandered opportunity. But I dried my tears with their chips. So hard to be sad when you're raking in like a $1,000 pot. Let me know how you feel about slow rolling. I'm generally against it. I know some people who think it's very funny. I think if you're around other people who think it's funny, like, you can have a fun time with it. Like anything, kind of, right? I mean, people can tell jokes that the person they're telling them to directly could potentially find very offensive, but if that person has, like, expressed that that's something they enjoy, like, maybe in that context, maybe it works in that context, but whereas in a broader context, maybe it doesn't work so well. And I think we always want to be aware of, like, not just like, oh, well, if nobody says anything negative about it, then it must be fine. It's like, well, sometimes people are uncomfortable with something and they don't say anything. So I think giving thought to stuff like that is good. Kevin E. Poker says, good luck today. Thank you. Good luck to you as well when you begin your stream. We're going to head on over there after this. And I'll probably be done with this session of play pretty soon. Where are we at? Oh, we're only at 31, 32 minutes. That's not that far. So I'll play a little while longer. This game is pretty good. The player on my right is very strange. Like, they played their first 10 hands and then they folded the next hand or something, 10. So I don't know. Kevin was saying the other day that there are good players who do this, where they, like, come in and they, like, play really bad in the beginning or play weird in the beginning, and then they, like, lock it down and play well. I've seen that in Heads Up. Like, in Heads Up Limit Hold'em, I used to play people who would open limp the button the first hand, and I'd be like, oh, open limp, fish, and then I'd play them for like 100 hands, and at the end of the 100 hands, they'd be like 85-65, and I was like, what happened to the limping? And they just limped that one hand, and I formed this, like, oh, they like to limp the button, and I'll play them forever. It's like, maybe that goes in the holding things in the different levels of certainty. Like, they did this one thing that one time. That doesn't mean that they do it a lot, right? Most of the people who open limp the button will repeatedly open limp the button and then proceed to play poorly post-flop. Not everybody. And I guess when it was hard to get action, people would do that. I don't think they were winning money from me, because I wasn't then playing post-flop super based on that one read. I was just giving them action. But we were paying like several BB per 100 in rake. So I think that was just like the site won, right? The site got a lot of rake out of that. And I don't, at a higher level, at like 1530, 3060, 1K, 2K, fine. The rake is negligible. But when you're playing like 3-6, 5-10 heads up limit hold'em, the rake's pretty bad. And so trying to battle regs, I just wouldn't battle regs at 3-6, not on purpose. At 5-10, I started to do it a little bit, and then at 10-20, I was like, I'll play anyone for a while, I'll give anyone 20 hands and then decide whether I think it's still worth it. But, like, it's worth it to try and to try and find exploits, right? Back in the day when people who played heads up regularly still had exploitable tendencies. Now, people who play serious heads up, I think, spend probably thousands of hours by this point studying solver output, and it's probably really hard to exploit other regs. I'm sure the people who've put in thousands of hours see holes or think they see holes in their opponents' games, but I miss those days. Let's see. Catch him on the chat. Hello, Kevin. I'm sorry I missed you the other day, but thank you for the shout out. Oh, the ethical panda. Yeah. I told the ethical panda that Kevin E. Poker gave them a shout out, and I like the Twitch community. I feel like there's a good amount of supportiveness and, like, trying to raise all boats with the rising tide or something like that. And I think it's good for the viewers, right? Like, if you have a stream and you enjoy someone else's stream, like there's a reasonable chance your viewers will enjoy their stream. It's like, yeah, check this out, check that out. And I enjoyed Cheese Bunny's stream the other day when Kevin, I played my session, then I did a raid on Kevin's stream, and then Kevin did a raid on Cheese Bunny's stream, and I just went from my stream to Kevin's stream to Cheese Bunny's stream, and I was like, this is very pleasant. And then I was like, I need to do some things today. so it could be a bit of a time sink. But, yeah. Okay. Ace, King, Queen, 6 with the double suitedness. Against this aggro fiend, I'm definitely going to 3-bet this. I think there's a very good 3-betting hand. Like, I'd rather be suited to the ace and the queen than the ace and the king. But given that it's a queen, I'm comfortable with it. Now, they raise and they call. I think this is definitely going to hit their range better than mine. Yes, I will have some overpairs. I'll have some top 2 with some rappy stuff. I just, I could have whiffed harder by not having any backdoor flush draws, but really that's all I have. Backdoor flush draws. I don't even have a backdoor straight draw. I don't even have a backdoor boat draw. So I need like running hearts or like running ace, king of diamonds to make any kind of nuttiness. And while the SPR is very low, my equity is very low too. And that's a bummer. Oh well. I think any one pair I would have gotten it in. Kevin says, moving down to 100 PLO. No worries, life gets busy. Oh, that's to Panda. My ego wants me to stay at 200, but I think it's best to move down for now. They play extremely aggressive early and adjust after. Sight always wins. Yep, sight always wins. True, true, true. Like, this is tempting to play just like junky jacks with like 2 like very loose passive players in it. This one aggro person. I like this 25-17 limping. I'm not going to play these anyway, but a 25-17 limping with somebody raising 70% behind me sends off alarm bells. Like, there is definitely a chance this player would limp re-raise. I think there's like 0 chance they're folding here because they had to know that that player was going to raise a lot. Unless they're just not paying any attention. They have a really weird pre-flop strategy. Wow. Okay, what do I know? So there was that very low percentage chance, like, coming true. Or maybe I was just inaccurate. I don't know. Yeah, sorry to hear you're moving down to 100, mostly because I play 100 and I'd rather not play with you. But at the same time, I respect the decision a lot. It's hard to move down. It's hard to play a stake and then accept that. Sometimes it's like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm a winner at this stake. And sometimes it's just like, well, my bankroll, I know that's not the situation. But whatever it is, like having that sort of confidence and discipline to move down when you come to a rational conclusion, correct or not. Like when you say, yes, this is what logic dictates to me. This is what I think is best for me at the moment. I think it can be very hard, but I think it's a really good thing to do. And so, good for you for basically not letting the ego tell you have to keep playing 200, right? Like, for me, 100 felt like... I was actually thinking of playing PLO10 and trying to run it up. And I looked at the rake and I was like, okay. And I calculated, like, how many hands I thought I would have to play at each limit if I was absolutely crushing. And I was like, yeah, maybe I don't want to do this. I think the absolute micros are probably best for building a game, or good for building a game. But I wanted to pick a stake where, look at this game. Like, it's a great game. But there's a couple I guess there's nobody really playing very solid here. But perhaps myself included. But I think it's challenging enough, right? And I think I can certainly work on my game at this limit, but still have fantastic games. And so I think you'll probably benefit from playing PLO100 and put together 25,000 hands of crush the game, right? Or do whatever. But I do think there's a time at which it's like, yeah, maybe we did a shot, took a shot and moved down. And when I was playing Limit Hold'em, which I know you're familiar with from back in the day, I took a shot at 3-6, kind of like from nowhere. I was just like, I had like 200 or like 300 big bets or something, which seemed like a lot to me, having been a live player before, but it really wasn't for online 6-max games. And I ran well, and I was like, oh, cool. And I think I played well. I was playing like 2 tables, super focused, taking notes, and like studying really hard. I watched every single Limit Hold'em video on Stocks Poker from like the Bryce and Nick Grujon and Donuts and everybody. And at the after a couple months, I was like, I'm going to play 510. And I played some 510, and I just got destroyed. And it was a combination of, the game was a little tougher, but the rake wasn't better for whatever reason. It was like same rake. I think I played worse because I outguessed myself. And then I also ran bad. Like, I legit didn't go on a big run. Like, even if you're overmatched, like, if you run really hot, like, you're probably going to stick at a stake a little longer than if you run bad. And then I went back down, and then I played 3-6, and then I added some 2-4, and then I went back to 3-6, and then I played 5-10 again. It didn't go well. I went back to 3-6, and then, like, I learned heads up, and then finally I started playing 5-10, and I caught a good run, but I also came at it with a little better, like, okay, I don't care what anybody thinks about what I'm going to do. I'm just going to play my best game. And with a little better mental approach, I started kind of crushing it, and then I moved to 10-20, and then that went smoothly for various reasons. Okay, ace 4-4-3 with a suit. Against this player, I'm going to flat with these people behind. I am skeptical of this person on the button, but we've seen before that they've limped and folded, so I think it's a little less likely they're going to limp and jam here, unless they're just playing like a limp and then fold or jam strategy. Yeah, that like extremely aggressive thing pre-flop, it's just so weird. Okay. I have the underwrap, the diaper, as I like to call it. I have a backdoor very poor flush draw, and I have a backdoor nut flush draw. I don't think this is a spot where I lead out. I'm not blocking any of the board interaction in terms of the sets, 2 pair hands, bigger wrap like 9-7-6. How many outs to the nuts do I have? I have 3 outs to the nuts. Is that correct? I only can hit an ace for the nuts. 6 is not the nuts. 4 is not the nuts. 3 is not the nuts. If this player betting had like the $21, I would just get it in with them because I have all this backdoor equity. However, out of position, like, yeah, I've got a wrap in some backdoors, but there just aren't ways I'm going to be able to play that confidently on future streets, and I don't think I'm going to have an equity edge against hands that they're playing this way, that they're just like, yeah, pot. Even if I make a straight, like, do they have a wrap or do they have a set? If they have a wrap, most of my straights are going to make second best, and I'm going to get stacked by their bigger wraps. And if they have a set, then I have a lot more equity, but I'm not going to have a lot of cards that I can put money in with confidence on future streets. Okay, there's a limp from the button who's actually been very aggro. Ace, king, 9, and a 5. My side cards aren't fantastic. The 5 does connect to the ace. The 9 is kind of just a totally garbage card. But at least it has, I guess, a high enough rank that it's got some value. Against this person, okay, top pair, top kicker, a blocker to some draws. Not really anywhere this hands can go positively. I don't even know what their range is or should be. I have top 2 pair now. I am blocking spades, and okay, I might actually value bet this river if it were like a deuce or something. And if they bet here, like, it's just so easy for them to have an 8. Of course, they can still have spades. I'm blocking 8s. I like my ace and my king. I'm blocking a lot of their value hands, but I am just going to go ahead and fold here. If they bet something like $2, they probably get a call out of me. Ethical Panda says, I hear that, much lower stakes, but I'm bouncing back and forth between 5 PLO and 10, trying to figure out what works best. Yeah, it can be hard, and I think I like to pick a stake and just play it, but I think there's a lot to be said for, like, especially while we're picking a stake, to say, like, yeah, let's see this, let's get a feel. I played some 10 PLO, and I was like, oh, these games are really good. And then I was like, let me check out PLO100 just in case. And I was like, oh, these games are really good. So I decided to play 100, but I could have gone a lot of ways. I'm not, it's not like I'm going to Daniel Negreanu, like, oh, I'll play 100, 200. And, like, I'll play against the best people in the world, and I'll just become one of the best people in the world really fast. Except I won't unless I put in the study, right? I'm sure Daniel got a lot better at those games pretty quickly. Wow, I'm just like talking, and I'm still playing in this game. It's good, but I am going to wrap it up and play a session review. Yes, let's play a session review. Let's do these hands. Ace 5, 5, 4. Facing a raise was not the question. The question was, do I raise this hand on the button? Because before the action got to me, I was thinking, what do I do? Let's see. Where am I? I'm the button. Okay, so we have single suited fives, but we're not single suited. But in the matrix, you go to single suited. And if this is ace 4 suited, whether it's suited to the ace or suited to the 5, we play it. And this is not, yeah. So basically, we'll do this. We'll say 5-5-XX rainbow is only RFI from button with ace king through 10, or 4-4 through deuce deuce. Okay, so rainbow, we need a second pair, or we need ace Broadway, basically. That's it. Done. This was a simple hand to review. For anybody who has questions about these hands, actually forgot to put stream delay on today. So I was like trying to build this new layout, which is gonna, I don't know, I was gonna say it's gonna look amazing. It's gonna look fine. The screen, the poker table is gonna be a little bigger, and hopefully that will be enjoyable for people. I don't know, we'll see. But I didn't get it done. I was like, oh, I got to stream. And then I started the stream at 10 o'clock with no stream delay. So anyway, hopefully my opponents weren't just totally owning me because they knew exactly what my cards were. Okay, so the hijack, open raised. So I want to look at queen, queen, jack 10, small blind versus hijack versus MP. So queen, queen, jack 10. This is going to be, oh, it's a flat. All right, pat myself on the back. This is a flat here. Correct. So queen, queen, jack 10, single suited is cold call, small blind versus hijack RFI. It's nice to see this because, like, this is what I felt. I felt like I wanted to cold call this hand, but when we have a feeling about how we want to do a hand, there's two possibilities. One is that we feel like we want to do it because we're scared to do something else. That's correct. And it's just like a fear-based, like, I don't really want to put more money in with this hand because I'm scared, right? Or I don't want to fold this hand because, like, I feel like I don't want to feel like a nit. That's bad, right? So that we want to see whether is that where our feelings are coming from, right? Because if so, then we don't want to do that. We want to try and take our more conscious, analytical reasoning mind and say, no, okay, that's nice, but what should I do with this, right? What's the best play here? But sometimes there's a feeling that comes from having studied a lot, knowing concepts and internalizing them, and thus our intuition can be based on reasoning, right? It can be based on logic and facts, but it's basically a part of our mind working faster than sort of the consciousness at the forefront. And maybe this hand was some part of my brain being like, well, this isn't actually going to play that well for a 3-bet, and their range is kind of strong. It's going to have a lot of ace-ace, a good amount of king-king, and so, maybe this is, but this is going to catch a good number of flops, and it's going to play well against ace-ace and king-king if the flop, say, comes queen-high or ace-king or 9-10, or there's going to be a lot of good flops. So, because of that, I'm hoping that this was more of a, like, positive intuition. I don't feel so much of that fear-based, I don't want to do something because I'm afraid of putting chips in the pot. I've been ripping it in, like I came up with a new phrase, rip it and flip it. Like you get it in and you're 50-50 and you flip. And that happens in PLO, right? You just rip it and flip it. But in in the past, I've also had this like sort of like, I don't want to be too nitty. I don't want to fold a hand that I shouldn't fold. But I also feel like I'm kind of, trying to like let go of that, right? Not push it away. Understand, okay, that's a feeling, but just then like let it pass and be like, what do I think I should do? But here, I feel like there was probably some rational intuition, if that makes sense, where it's based on things I know, but that I can't necessarily put into words at the time. I think now I've put them into words, right? But basically, queen, queen, ace, X, suited to ace is 3-bet fold, Queen, queen, ace, king through 10 is RFI fold, bad suit. Queen, queen, jack, jack through 8, 8 is RFI fold. So those are our 3-bet hands. We want either 2 pair that are connected or an ace to 3-bet. So that's another thing. Like, we want an ace usually when we're 3-betting in these spots. Cold calls include queen, queen, king, jack, king 10, jack 10, 10, 9. Okay, so that's fine. All good. Good suit. I tried to write. Wow, my typing is. It's like my brain is like, what are you doing? All right, let's go. Next one. Oh, there was actually post-flop play here. Yeah. So there I flat, and then the flop comes out, and the flop is okay. If this player was the... They weren't the player who was playing every hand. And maybe right after this or before this, that player came in. I don't know. If they were the player who was raising every hand, like, this is probably just like get it in against them. I don't know. It's a very, very uncomfortable spot. But I think against a typical raiser's range, this is much worse. And did the river go check? It goes bet call. And then did I see what the other player had? I want to know what the other player had. Like, what are they betting there? What are they betting there? So I am going to open up the hand histories, and we're going to type in the hand number here. This is so annoying that you have to type it in. You can't even, like, copy paste it for some goofy reason. So we'll look up, and the other player had ace, ace, queen, 4. Oh, wow. That was the case queen on the river that I would have banked if somehow I hadn't folded on, the flop or the turn. Because there might have been action on the turn if I were still in the hand. But yeah, so against my opponent's actual hands, like, I think my fold was good. I'm going to call up the equity calculator. Like, the main thing is that there's just not a bunch of good cards. There were some pretty good cards, but not really fantastic ones. I had queen of hearts, queen of diamonds, jack of diamonds, 10 of clubs. First, I'm going to see on the flop, how am I heads up against this person? I've got 36%, so if I could play with confidence on those runouts, which some of them I can, I think my hand plays okay against their specific hand. Once we throw in this other hand, though, wow, my equity doesn't go down that much. So aces are in much worse shape on that flop than I am because I have all the backdoors, right? Backdoors are powerful. And if I had position in this hand, I would have been much happier trying to get something out of these backdoors. But I'm the small blind. I have worst position, and I have worst relative position, right? It goes check, check. They bet, and now I have to call or fold or raise before the other player really announces their intention. Like, they could have led this flop, but often people will check strong hands here. They'll check raise, and for that reason, I folded, and I stand by it. Okay, king, king, tray, tray. Double suited. I think not much to say here about, pre-flop. Like, I have a really good hand, and I raised. Like, okay. But on this flop, check, bet. I was probably going to bet if they checked. Actually, maybe I was going to check. Like, this is a good board for me, but again, against these opponent types, I don't know. I might have bet. I was kind of teetering on the edge. They bet half pot. I think there's a super straightforward call. I don't really want to raise and try and... Like, my draw is not so strong. If I had king, king, jack, 10, right, with nut diamonds, maybe. But here, I'm just drawing to a flush. And if I spike a 3, that's cool. If I spike a king, okay. And now I do have this blocker, and I love having these blockers, right? I have 2 kings. That's great. But this player just isn't... That's just not the person that we make this play against. Sometimes. But again, 10-10 would have been blocking 10-9 and king 10. So it would be less likely that they, like, flopped... Jack 10-9 and they turn the second nuts. They're like, oh, I guess I'll check. I have the second nuts, right? But then they're going to call. This player's going to call that. I think, probably, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't want to hold that with too much certainty. But everything I've seen in poker makes me feel that's probably what's going to happen. Okay. what do we have now? We have ace 7, 6, 5, and there was a question about this hand. Okay, I called. I think the question was, let's see, where you flop the straight, but then the board paired on the turn. What do you do if opponent raises your turn bet? Right, yeah. So, you know, the idea here was there's going to be a lot of very good turn cards for me that might actually give my opponent something that they want to call with or bet with, but that has like no equity, right? They can have 4 overcards here, maybe like backdoor hearts, whatever. They can hit a pair, they can hit 2 pair, and they have very low equity, and I can put a bunch of money in on the turn. Also, I don't have any, I mean, I have runner boat redraw outs, right? I can hit a 7 and then one of my side cards, but I don't have a lot of, if we both have 6-5, I'm not going to be free rolling them very often at all. And if I do, it's like 51-49. Whereas they can have clubs to go with 6-5. I do like having the 5 clubs, but so I call. And the turn's a 3, which doesn't immediately seem like a great card for me, right? It's not a great card. I don't have the nuts anymore. I have a 7, so I'm blocking 7-7 and 7-3. My opponent checks. If they bet, I was going to call this, partially because I have that 7. But here, where I want to make a thin value bet, I like having the 7 in my hand because I am blocking a hand I don't want them to have, right? 7-7 or 7-3. And also, I would have gone smaller if this was rainbow, right? If it's like 4 of diamonds here, I go smaller trying to eke out value from like an overpair or whatever else. But because I think they can have a flush draw and have substantial equity, I don't really want to like bet half pot and then just let them get there. Now maybe half pot, you know, half pot, let them draw to their flush and miss. Okay, maybe that's better. Maybe that's better because they don't have odds for that. If they the question was if they raise here, what am I doing? I'm folding. You know, if they min raise, I'm like but like I don't know if they min raise. I'm probably folding anyway. But it's like really goofy if they min raise. It's really goofy. If they put in a real raise, I'm definitely folding. I have the blocker, that's great, but I'm not totally blocking, right? They can have 7-7, they can have 4-3, they can have 4-4, they could have 3-3, they can have quads. If they min raise, maybe they have quads a lot. I don't know. So I definitely feel like I like this hand. I feel like I like how I played it, and maybe a smaller bet on the turn. But the idea was I'm not broken up if they fold clubs, right? I'm fine with that. And I think because the board paired, they often will. All right, 7-7, 4-10. The question was simple. It was, do I raise this from the button? And I'm pretty sure the answer is no. No, I do not. But let's just check it out. 7-7 with a single suit. 10-4 is a fold. 9-5. So basically the hands that I thought were... that I thought we wanted are the ones we wanted is button fold. Need 2 side cards that connect with 7-7 or are legit good, we'll say. Like, you know, King 5 suited to the king. That's cool, right? But like 10-6 are legit goo. They are not legit goo. Okay. Legit good. Cool. Fold. Moving on. All right. This one, just another one. Just like, can I raise this on the button? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the deuce is really bad. No, I can raise this. It's total bottom of range. King Jack 10, deuce, single suited is RFI. RFI call from button. Bottom of range, right? King Jack 9, 5. Single suited is also RFI. Yeah, okay. So this is a card, this is a spot, I'm the button. There are some 3-card hands I can raise. Apparently this is one of them. Can I raise any 3 Broadway? Let's go with Queen Jack, and let's take a look at Queen Jack single suited. Let's peek. Yeah, so Queen Jack single suited, and obviously Ace whatever, right? Ace, Ace Queen, Ace Jack. Let's look at Ace Jack. Ace Jack, yeah, very, very easy, very easy. Okay, so here's a mnemonic. Here's a mnemonic, ready? Any 3 Broadway cards, single suited, is RFI from button. Boom. That's a thing. Any unpaired anyway, but I have to imagine a pair also, right? So yeah, that's a thing. Now we know that. Now anytime I get 3 Broadway cards, I should put that on a flashcard and put it in my Anki rotation, which doesn't exist yet. We'll get to that. Okay, Queen, Queen, Jack, Jack, double suited. The question was, I will read it verbatim, but it was basically like, what flops do you want? What kind of flop does Queen, Queen, Jack, Jack, double suited want on the flop? Well, flopping a queen would be great. Flopping a jack would be great. Flopping 2 overpairs and like maybe a backdoor flush draw, 2 backdoor flush draws, 10-9 on the flop, obviously 10-9-8 or ace-king-10 or king, flopping a straight, great. Flopping a set, awesome. Flopping overpairs and multiple backdoors, also very good, right? Like if the flop's like 10-5 deuce with a diamond and a spade, I'm happy, right? I've got 4 outs to the nuts. I can hit a queen, I can hit a jack. And then I have a lot of turn cards that I can barrel. Or maybe I check it and check raise or maybe check call. But those are, or having a gut shot and a flush draw. If it's like ace-10 and it's ace-10 of diamonds, like, okay, second nut flush draw. But in a heads-up spot like this, it looked like I limped, but I didn't. I raised. In a heads-up spot like this, I don't care as much that my flush draws to the queen, right? Small blind versus big blind, like queen high flush draw, much better than like low jack versus, button cold call, or hijack versus button cold call, or like, whatever position versus the world, right? 6-way pot, queen high flush draw is like, I'm like, okay, that's nice. But, I want that like with a set or with a straight draw. But in this heads-up sort of situation, a queen high flush draw can be pretty good. It's hard to get value because nobody can have the jack high flush, but, still. All right, that's going to do it for today. Thanks to everyone for watching, and you especially. If you're on Twitch, you can go ahead and follow. You can subscribe now. If you're on YouTube, you can subscribe and like the video and share. If there are people in your life who enjoy Pot Limit Omaha, give them ask them to check out the channel. Send them a link. Anyway, thank you so much for watching again, and I'll catch you later. Cheers.